My name is Cassie. I'm going to be covering lead registration options today. And the first thing anybody should know about lead registration is that traffic is going to be your first concern. I'm not going to go over SEO in detail because we have covered this previously. And in fact, if you want to learn about SEO techniques, you can go to one of our newer resources, which you may not have seen previously, which is learn.idxbroker.com. When you go to this site, if you scroll down, it's going to cover a lot of our previous webinars. They'll be recorded there. And if you scroll down a little further, you will actually see a set of lessons specifically regarding SEO. And I do recommend taking a look at those because getting traffic to your website is going to be your first step in generating leads. But more specific to lead generation, let's take a look at the actual lead registration options and that kind of thing within IDX Broker. So first of all, your account is going to have some built-in tools. You don't even have to do anything to make these work. So every time somebody visits your website and runs a search, there's a couple of things that they are going to see. First, when you are looking at search results, there's going to be an option here, which you'll see right here at the top left, to save a search. So if somebody runs a search and they want to save that or they want to get email updates based on those results whenever new properties come in that match, they can hit that. You'll also see a save property link for every single result that's returned. And those will both create a lead record for you and gather their contact information for you. And at least in the case of the save search, we'll also send them daily email updates with any new properties that match their search criteria. So that's one of the first things that's available to your visitors. If you are looking at an individual property, they will still have that save property link there. So they can also save a property after they've looked at the details. Another thing that you have on details pages, this will look a little different depending on the template you're using, but there are also these social media icons, which you can actually use yourself. If you're wanting to, say, share a property on Facebook, you can actually just click these social media icons. It'll send that property straight to your Facebook page with links back to your IDX account, so they'll be able to visit your website straight from your social media posts. And that's another way of generating traffic and leads. So that can be very helpful. One built-in tool that I think a lot of people overlook that is pretty important is going to be inside your IDX account, under Designs in the main menu, and then Pages in the submenu. This is a list of all the primary pages that come with your IDX account. I will have a lot more in my list than you guys will see in yours just because I have a lot of test pages created in my demo here. There's one called Email Update Signup. And this is a two-step tool that you can market on your website as something that is a service to your visitors rather than you just forcing them to register in order to use your website. You can actually market this, tie it to a button, something like that. And when they hit that link, step one, they'll run their search criteria, whatever it is that they want. And they'll have a next step. Step two, it'll ask for their contact information. And so it kind of guides them through the process and encourages them to create a safe search. And the beautiful thing about that is that, A, you get to market it as a service to them. Two, you get their contact information and they get email updates. They get constant contacts from you every time new properties come on the market that have properties they might be interested in. So that's one tool I think is really overlooked that everybody should consider using. And if those built-in tools aren't generating a lot of traffic for you, there are options for forcing registration or at least encouraging it. And these are going to be under Leads in the main menu and Lead Registration Preferences in the submenu. Now most of you, especially if this is the first time you've looked at this screen, you're going to start off seeing this, simple registration preferences. And this just lets you choose kind of a bucket depending on how aggressively you want to encourage leads to sign up and give you their information. So conservative is basically going to leave your site wide open. Balanced is going to do encouraged registration that they can potentially skip on certain types of pages, and aggressive is going to do forces on certain types of pages. If you're interested in the specific setup that goes along with these different items here, then you can actually go to our help system and just go to support.idxbroker.com and search for force registration. This should be the topic that comes up for you. The section you'll be interested in is simple, and it actually outlines exactly the settings that are aligned with all of those options there. What I recommend for most people, however, is to do the advanced registration. So you'll hit the advanced tab here and then hit the global registration rules tab. This is going to allow you to set your settings for different types of pages exactly as you want it. You'll see two options for most of these, request or force. The difference between the two is that a request is going to pop up a sign-up form, and it's going to give the visitor an option to skip that. So they basically just close the window and keep working. You can do this as a recurring, meaning it pops up every 3 to 4 page views on that type of page. Or you can do it as non-recurring, meaning it just happens once. And if you want to do it as recurring, you also have the option of saying how many pages that's going to allow them to view between pop-ups. A force is going to work similarly, and you can say, I'll let them view a search page 4 times, but if they want to view it a 5th time, then they have to register. You'll see some other options on here. Redirect to third-party website for registration. That is primarily for custom developers. That is going to allow you to, if you have a custom form on your website where you want people to register and it's going straight into your CRM or something like that, you can put in your own URL there. Most people will want to leave that unchecked and not worry with that. And then form message, as far as what appears at the top of the form. You can actually customize that as well. So you can put in your own information here. You'll even see it's got a some editing buttons here. If you want to enter your own HTML, you can just turn that editor off and enter your own HTML. And you can do this for different types of pages. So my recommended settings here, I usually say leave search pages wide open. Don't request or force registration when it comes to search forms. The most popular settings are to request registration on results pages, recurring every 2 to 3 results page views, or to force registration after 3 or 4 details page views. And details pages are those pages that you see when you are looking at the details of an individual property. So a results page would be a list of properties. A details page would be a single property. And I find what I like best as a visitor is to force registration on details pages after 2 or 3 page views, but leave everything else wide open. But it's going to depend on your market, your follow-up style, how aggressive you are following up with your leads. If you're not very aggressive, like to let people do things on their own, it doesn't make sense to have aggressive lead registration settings. But if you are real quick on the follow-up with your leads, then it does make sense to force registration and get that contact information as quickly as you can. And you'll see you can do it for photo galleries, details pages, results, several different types of pages here. You can also, if you want to get even more fine-tuned, set similar settings, assuming you're a platinum user, here under the list of pages, under designs and then pages, under your preferences. you can actually set it for specific types of pages here as well. Most of you will not need that, but it does depend on how you set up your site and what your follow-up style is. And you also want to look at what the competitors in your market are doing before you decide how you want to do it. Yeah, and yeah, these are for Platinum only when we're looking at the individual page preferences. When we are looking at the lead registration preferences, there's a lot more here than just forced registration. You can also make some changes to your sign-up form. So if you're getting a lot of spam, there's an option to block any lead submissions coming outside North America. That can apply to, like, if you're getting a lot of spam from, say, China, you can set that to yes, and that'll block some of those registrations. CAPTCHA, that's that form that you see when somebody is, signing up and they have to type in letters in order to submit their form. You can turn that on or off. I recommend leaving it off unless you are getting a lot of spam. And you can also change the fields that you see on that form. So this is pretty much the default. Twitter is a custom field here. Assigned agent will only apply if you have a multi-user account, but you can add more fields. You can choose whether they're going to be required. And you can even add custom fields here. So you could say, how long do you want to buy as a question here, and have an input for it and force that onto your field as well. Let's see, we got a question here.
So they would like to see the editor to the custom message
for
the lead registration.
Okay, yeah, we can take another look at that real quick. Let's see here. So if we're going to do a custom message, let's say we're going to force a registration on map search pages. We basically just hit custom there, and we can say,
so how would we change perfect home to a bold red?
If we wanted to do that, we just highlight where it says perfect home, and we will see this font color button here, and we would hit that. And then if we wanted to be bold, we would hit this button right here. It works very similarly to what you would see if you were using Word, for example. It's very much like the editing buttons you're used to in other programs. All right, so going back to our other preferences here, the sign up page. All right, so we looked at the spam and sign up form options here. The thank you page is what pops up when somebody creates an account. And that is basically just says thank you for signing up. You're going to get an email, and it also lets them know that they need to click on the link inside that email to verify their account. Now, what that means is basically when somebody has a verified account, they're going to be able to get emails for saved searches. They're going to be able to continue to log in. An unverified account, eventually, after however many days you specify, they will not be able to log in with that same email address, and they will not receive email updates for saved searches. So you can choose how many days they have to respond to that email. You can also customize the message shown in that email, customize the message shown on that page, and you can choose how long it's going to take for that page to redirect to what they were looking for in the first place. So how long it takes to take them back to the details page where they hit the forced registration, or wherever it was they hit that forced registration. And then down at the bottom of this option, we have tracking code. So if you're working with something like, say, adware, anything where you need to put tracking code, conversion code on those thank you pages, you can actually paste that in right here.
How can I create a custom message to preface results reports that are sent from a search?
Let's see, a custom message for results. So as in the emails that go out to leads once they have saved a search, we will actually be getting to that shortly. And I apologize if I misunderstood, but just let me know if I didn't quite get that. But we actually are going to be looking at that in just a little bit here. All right, so email verification. This is the email itself. So the thank you page just tells them they're going to be getting an email, thanks them for signing up, and then redirects them to what they were looking for. And then email verification, this is the actual email they receive when they first sign up. So you can see the default subject and message here. You can choose to do custom there as well. So you can customize the subject line to whatever you want to. And you can customize the header message to whatever you want to. So, and you can also, during the greeting where it says Dear Ann Smith, you can choose whether it's going to be the first name or the last name. The only CRM integration that we have built in is Top Producer, which is the most popular currently. And to integrate with Top Producer, you just set this to yes. And then you go to your Top Producer account and you set up a new lead provider using these credentials that you see over at the right here. These are going to be different than your login credentials for Top Producer. So you log in with your own credentials on Top Producer and then set up a new lead provider. It'll ask you for the lead provider name, username, and password, and this is the information you're going to need. Now, a lot of people want to use something other than Top Producer, and that is okay. There's a couple of different ways to send leads to other programs. The simplest method is actually going to be, I'm going to leave this part of the system real quick here and take us over to Preferences and then Global Preferences. And there is a setting in here called Email Settings. So we'll hit that tab. And we will see, we're actually going to go to the second section of this page. I'll look at the first section right after this. But the second section of the page, titled Recipient, this is for where new lead notifications go. So anytime somebody creates a new lead account, you're going to get an email at your email address that says, hey, this new lead is signed up. Here's their info. Here's what they were asking for. And you can, and that's typically just going to go to the primary email address on the account. But there's this carbon copy address that you can enter. So that maybe you have an office manager that you want to get a copy of every lead sign up, you can put their email address in here. Or, and this is why this is relevant to sending to a CRM, if you're using something like, say, Follow-Up Boss or Lead Router, which gathers most of their lead information via email, they just parse it out of those lead notification emails, you can just set them as a CC address, and then they will get a copy of every new lead that comes in, and they will actually grab that information out of the email and add that to your system. These fields here are really for specific types of forms. So let's say you want I think the most common use of this is you have a specific agent in your office that handles home valuation requests. Somebody who works almost exclusively as a seller's agent rather than a buyer's agent. You can put their email address in this home valuation recipient, and then they'll receive those requests, so you know those are going to the right person. And then up here, these regard those property updates we were talking about, whereas visitors get email updates regarding saved searches that they have and new properties that match those. You can control the reply to address that shows up in those emails. You can get a carbon copy of every single email that goes out to your leads if you want to. You can customize the subject line, and you can also send yourself a sample of those so that you can see how your customizations look. And you can also change the signature here. This option right here, daily, weekly, never, I would not recommend never, because that kind of defeats the purpose, but some people do not want to send items to their leads at all. Weekly, of course, means they're not going to get one every day. So, you know, if you would prefer that they don't hear from you that frequently, but most people just leave it on daily, which is the default. So those are our settings for email updates that go out to the visitors. And the other option with integrating with a third-party system requires a little more development experience, and that would be using the API, which you will find under Home in the main menu and API Control in the submenu. The API, this is your key. Most people simply use this for integration with a WordPress plugin, but it also allows you to do custom development and tie into other platforms. You will find the technical documentation at this link right here at the right, and it goes through all the methods and the different things you can query. It's primarily going to be your leads, your featured properties, your saved links. You'll be able to grab that kind of information. It doesn't give you the MLS data as a whole, so you can't use the API to do, say, a website where you're hosting all of the MLS data on your side, but it's incredibly useful for things like integrating with a third-party system when it comes to lead management. So that's a great thing for the API right there. And going back to our lead registration preferences, so we've got a cleanup tab here. These should both be set to no by default, but basically what this means is if a lead doesn't have any activity, how long do we want to keep them in the system? How long do you want to look at that in your list of leads? You can disable a lead that hasn't logged in over 120 days, and you can automatically delete leads that haven't logged in over 240 days. There's no way to change these time frames, but you can choose whether you want to opt into that or not. I usually would recommend no, unless you just, are generating a lot of leads and you want to keep them pared down to the more active ones. We already looked at these global registration rules here. So the last item we have under the registration preferences is going to be the credential email. And this is what you can send to one of your leads when they just aren't sure how to log in. You can actually send them an email and you can customize this email. You'll see it even has some dynamic tags here which you can take out or replace or rearrange if you want to. And so as far as lead generation goes, that is pretty much what we've got. So let's take a look at what you do once you actually have some leads. This is going to be under leads in the main menu, leads in the submenu, and then manage. This is where we will see the leads that we already have in the system. You will see a few different types of statuses for your leads. Verified are the ones that have actually clicked that link in the verification email. No account is for people who simply filled out a contact form but didn't actually enter or create login information. So, they didn't save a search, they didn't save a property, they didn't hit a forced registration, they just maybe requested information on a specific property or filled out a home evaluation form. They'll say no account. If you want to create an account for them, you just hit the link that says no account. And for anybody that has an account or that you just created an account for and you want to send them their credentials, this envelope icon will let you email it straight to them. And that was the credentials email that we looked at on the last page where we were customizing that email. You may also see unverified, meaning that they created an account but never clicked on the link in their email. And on occasion you might see disabled, which would be somebody who has not signed in 120 days or whatever your settings are in the cleanup tab that was under lead registration preferences. When we're looking at this screen, you will see a number of items here. So you'll see their sign up date. You can sort by these columns. So you'll be able to see your most recent leads or your oldest leads, whichever you want. You will see, of course, their name, their email address. You'll see this column that says S. That's for saved searches. So you can immediately see who has saved a search, and you can go straight to their saved searches by clicking there. And you'll be able to view the current results for their saved search or today's results. You can also create your own for them. And then P for saved properties. So if somebody has saved properties for their, say, wish list or just properties they want to keep an eye on every time they log in, you'll be able to see that here. so you can get to that quickly, and of course status. Last update. My demo account may not be the best example of this, but that basically is the last time that we sent them an email with new properties that match their saved search. So you'll be able to see that there. Last activity, last time that we could tell they were on the website. It is accurate as long as they are logged in, and we'll also attempt to track them by IP address. However, these days with most people having a mobile phone, a home computer, a work computer, and possibly even another device, IP address can be kind of sketchy, but it's very reliable if they actually log in. And then agent, if you have a multi-user account, you'd see the agent here. And then tools. You can actually log in as an individual lead and see things exactly as they see it. The pencil icon will allow you to edit a lead. The paper icon will let you go straight to the notes. And of course the trash can will let you delete a lead if you need to get one off of your list. Go ahead and take a look at editing a lead. So I'm going to hit the pencil icon. So you'll see traffic history. This will be anything that we can tie to them, be that by login or IP address. So you'll be able to see what pages they hit, and you'll be able to see the referring URL. Say if they hit a details page from Google or something like that, you'll be able to tell where that hit came from. Property updates. This one I think is a little confusing sometimes because property updates does not actually reflect how many emails they've been sent. It reflects the properties they've actually clicked on from that email. So you'll see a list under property updates of properties that that visitor has actually gone to from their emails. So it tells you more about how effective those emails have been versus how many they've actually received. Saved properties is going to give you a list of any properties they've saved. The one that I have on my demo, that property that I had saved is no longer here, so it'll tell you that as well. Otherwise, you'd see a list that looks kind of similar to a results page. Saved searches, again, just gives you the searches they've saved. You can view those results. You can hit add, edit, save searches if you want to change any of those. You can actually change that criteria on their behalf if you want to. So you can go in and actually add criteria or remove it, make it more generic, whatever you need to do there. Edit lead is fairly straightforward. It is asking for their contact information here. The absolute minimum requirements are going to be first name and primary email address. When we were looking at the global, when we were looking at the preferences, let's go back to the lead registration preferences real quick. So when we were looking at the sign up page, you can see this here. When you make something required here, you will see it required when you are editing your lead as well. So that will make a difference as to how many fields are required when you're editing your lead, or when you are creating a new one. It's essentially the exact same screen, and what you have set as required is going to affect what's required here. In my case, password is actually hidden as a field, so I can't even enter a password here because my account, my demo account, is intended to be wide open where you don't even need a password to get in. You basically just have to know your email address, and you can make other changes to the lead record here. And then finally, notes. This is really useful because anytime somebody fills out a form, it's going to give you the entire contents of that form in the notes, along with the time in your own time zone of what, when they did that, IP address when they sign up, and that kind of thing. So you can get some pretty useful information out of the notes. All right, so we looked at create. Import, I believe this is a platinum only feature here, so we'll go over this very briefly. This won't apply to any light users, but this allows you to actually import leads from another system. So say you had a different IDX platform, or we're using a CRM or something, and you've got this spreadsheet of leads that you would like to put into your IDX account. As long as you format your spreadsheet with the same field names we use, you can actually upload it into our system really easily and add those to your account without having to enter them one by one. Let's see, the next thing to look at, well, contact routing. This is more about who you assign your leads to, would only apply to multi-user accounts. but it gives you the option of routing your leads to the agents you have on your account. You would have to have profiles for those agents first, and then you can choose to either set up core fields, which is essentially assigning specific agents to, say, specific zip codes. Anybody who asks for information about a property in 71112 is going to go to Cassie, or anybody that asks for information in 71113 is going to go to Becky, something like that. Or you can do round robin, which is probably more popular. This is where it just hits the next agent in line. You basically got a list of agents, and the new lead that comes in goes to the next agent that we have. And you can also do a combination of the two. So you can basically set up more than one agent per zip code, and the first lead that shows up in 71112 would go to Cassie, and the second lead that shows up in 71112 would go to Becky. So it's a combination of core fields and round robin. And then this is just setting up the details of that. You select what you want here, and then you assign it to an agent in your list, and you save your changes. And then finally, exports. This is just the option of exporting a CSV. So the opposite of an import. If you want to create a CSV from the leads you have in your IDX account and then import that into some other system, that is an option for you. And works well if you don't want to do the API, you're not using Top Producer, and your CRM does not do lead parsing. This is kind of your last resort. It's very simple to do, but the downside of it is that it's not automated. You basically have to come back to it, once every few weeks so that any new leads you've generated get uploaded to your new system. But you can actually limit it to a date range while you are doing this, so that way you can grab just your newer leads. All right, I think the last point I have in my notes that we might want to hit is if we go to Account in the main menu and then Message Center in the submenu. Oh, wow, I don't have a lot of great examples in here, but you will actually see a list here of every email that is sent out from your account. So if you were wanting to, say, actually look at the emails that were sent to your leads, you wanted to check to make sure that a specific lead had gotten an email, or you wanted to see what those look like. It'll even have the emails that are sent to your agents regarding new leads. You can actually get all of those right here. You'll see copies of those. And I don't have any since this is a demo account. I think that we have covered all the points that I had planned to cover. I hope that that was helpful. Let us know if you have any questions. It's help, HELP, at idxbroker.com or 1-800-421-9668 if you all run into any questions regarding your own accounts. And I hope you all have a great day and a happy holiday. Thank you.